Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another edition of Chess Chat, a program designed to give you, the viewer, a good understanding of the fascinating world of chess. I am George Merijanian, Program Director of the Couture Chess Club at Fitchburg State University. This club meets every Wednesday evening from 7 to 11 in room C-159 in the McKay complex at the university. And with me today at the Fitchburg Access Television Production Center is our award-winning director, Darren Dame of Fitchburg. He's assisted in the control room by fellow resident and longtime Couture Chess Club member, Brian Bigelow. And behind the camera is a fellow resident and longtime FATV volunteer, Andy Hawthorne. And across from me is my trusty co-host, associate, chess writer, active chess player, assistant webmaster for the Couture Chess Club, Dave Couture of Westminster. Hello, Dave.
Hi, George.
Well, Dave,
let's not forget.
Yes, no.
The credits for the
yes, I was going to bring that up. I wanted our viewers to know, and if they haven't noticed already, because we've done it now for several shows now,
Yep.
we have a brand new opening, an opening that was created by your friend,
Yep.
and the son, actually the brother and son of chess players I knew from years ago, Jay Duchamp. Jay Duchamp is a friend of yours who is a professor of electronic media at Holyoke Community College.
Yep. Yep.
He lives in Westfield, Mass.
Yep.
He created our new opening. I think it's a very good opening. I've got
Excellent
very
opening,
good feedback from players who said they like the new opening.
Yep.
So we give Jay Duchamp credit for that. Well, Dave, you know, this show is going to be an exciting show because as we talk right now live, we're doing this show live, there is the closing ceremony going on, or they're getting ready to put on the closing ceremony for this year's U.S. Championship in St. Louis, at the St. Louis Chess Club. Mm-hmm. We are able to report to our Chess Chat viewers what happened in the U.S. Championship, which was held, by the way, in two divisions. Right. They had the open section, the open championship, and they had the women's championship.
Right.
I think we should start with the women's championship. Okay. There were it was a round robin, 12 females who competed, and we're going to start actually with somebody that we know very well who played in it, who won the Couture Chess Club Championship in 2014. That's our own Carissa Yip. Right. We actually have a photo from the event. There's our Carissa Yip, 15 years old. She lives in Andover, Massachusetts. She used to live in Chelmsford. Mm-hmm. She moved to Andover, but she competed. Now, unfortunately, this year she finished actually in 8th place out of 12 players with 4.5 points out of 11 points. By the way, you were the last person at the Couture Chess Club to defeat her. Yeah. You're well aware of that, are you? Yes, okay. So that's Carissa Yip. Now, let us actually go to the female who finished 4th place in the Women's Championship, and this must be Annie Wang. Let's get actually a photo of, is this Annie Wang?
Yep, this is Annie.
Yeah, this is Annie Wang. She's 16 years old, and she finished with 7 points out of 11. And she finished in clear 4th place. So Annie Wang, one of the strongest female players in the country.
And she came very close to winning it last year.
Yes, very close.
She was ahead right up until the end when somebody tied her at the end.
Yeah, but she did very well this year too. Yeah, and she's only, she's only 16.
Right.
Her future looks very bright.
Right.
Now let's go find the person one of the players who tied for 2nd and 3rd. Let's go to Tatef Abrahamian. Tatef Abrahamian, there she is. She's dyed. She's got purple hair. Yeah. It's not your fans. It's not your TV set. It's actually that is Tatef's coloring is purple. She's 31 years old, and she finished with 7.5 points out of 11. But she tied with Anna Zatonsky. Now let's get a photo of Anna Zatonsky. By the way, Anna Zatonsky is a 4-time U.S. Women's Champion.
Right.
Yeah. And she's 40 years old. She was the oldest participant in the Women's Championship. Mm-hmm. And she finished with 7.5 points, as did Tatef Abrahamian. But let's go now to the winner of this year's U.S. Women's Championship, who finished with a phenomenal score.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Let's go to Jennifer Yu. There she is, Jennifer Yu, 17 years old. And her score, you know what her score was?
She scored 10 out of 11.
10 out of 11 points. That was nine wins, two draws.
Yep.
She was the only undefeated female in the women's championship. She lives in Ashburn, Virginia, but although she was born in Ithaca, New York, but actually in her early years played a lot of tournaments. She started playing at the age of 7. First U.S. Chess Federation rated tournament was when she was 7 years old in California. And in the summer of 2011, her family moved to Ashburn, Virginia, which is a suburb, which is a part of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, about 30 miles northwest of D.C. Okay. But that is a phenomenal score. That's an amazing. You know what she would have won if she had won all her games? There was in this year's championship, as was in previous years. Yeah. There's an award which the Rex Singfield. You met Rex Singfield when you visited St. Louis. Yep. He has put forth a $64,000, wasn't it $64,000 prize, extra bonus to anybody who ended up with a perfect score.
Right.
Well, if Annie had,
it's called the Fisher Prize.
It's called the Fisher Prize because Bobby Fischer did it with a perfect score. The year that he won 11-0.
Yeah, the only one to ever do it.
He's the only one that's got a perfect score to U.S. Championship. So that is the women's championship. Those were the top 4 players that we showed you. But of course,
one thing that's interesting about Jennifer winning it is, I guess, just before this, was some sort of high school championship, and she did very poorly.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about. Yes, she did very poorly. But so that's quite a bounce back from a poor result to winning the this year's U.S. Women's Championship.
Right.
Okay. Now let's go to the men's. It's not a men's championship. I'm wrong to call it a men's championship.
Right, it's the Open.
Because actually, females would qualify for this if they were able to qualify based on rating or performance. This is the main event. This was the Open Championship, and this actually will start. Let's start actually with the person who finished a clear 4th. Actually, no. Let's start with do we have Wesley So? Is that who? Yeah, here he is. Wesley So. Wesley So won this U.S. Championship in 2017. He finished with 6 points. Now, you know who else finished with 6 points that we're going to talk about a little later is Sam Sevian. Yeah. Our own Sam Sevian from Holden, Massachusetts, also finished with 6 points, but they tied for the 4th and 5th place. Let us go to one of the players who tied for 3rd place with 7.5 points, and that is Lenier Dominguez, also known as Lenier Dominguez Perez. He finished with 7.5 points. He is a 5-time Cuban national champion. He actually changed federation. He's no longer, he left Cuba.
Right.
And he now plays for the United States. He made his debut in this year's U.S. Championship.
And he hasn't played classical chess, I think, in like 2 years.
Yes.
Because FIDE rules say if you leave your federation,
yes, you have to. Yes, right.
No playing for like 2 years.
That's true.
This is his first tournament.
Right.
And
he did phenomenal. 2 years. And by the way, he was undefeated.
Right.
His 7.5 points came from wins and draws, which did not include any losses.
Right.
Now he tied with another grandmaster. In fact, Fabiano Caruana. Now let's look at Fabiano Caruana. What our viewers are seeing now is the number 2 player in the world, Fabiano Caruana, who played last year a world championship match against world champion Magnus Carlsen of Norway. Fabiano Caruana has won the U.S. Championship. He did it in the year 2016, but he tied with Dominguez Perez. And you know what his new U.S. Chess Federation rating is as a result of his performance in the U.S. Championship? 2902. He's a player, the only player over 2,900 as far as his U.S. Chess Federation rating. That in itself is
crazy.
crazy. We live in a crazy world. Anyways, but now let's go to the player who won this year's championship, and that is the one and only Hikaru Nakamura. Let us see Hikaru Nakamura. There he is. He scored 8 points in this championship. Actually, was it 5 wins and 4 draws? No, 6 wins, 5 wins, 6 draws, coming to 8 points. You know, this was his 5th U.S. championship win. He did it before in 2005. Actually, it was played in 2004, but they called it the 2005 championship for they call legal reasons or whatever.
Okay.
But he won it in 2009, 2012, and 2015. So this was his 5th U.S. championship win. Quite an accomplishment. You know, I first saw Hikaru Nakamura in July 2000 when he played in the New Hampshire Open up in Nashua, New Hampshire. I went there. I think I forget whether I played, but I know I was there. I saw him in action, and I saw when he lost to Igor Foigl in the 2nd round of the 2000 New Hampshire Open. But again, his rating back then was I think it was a lowly rated master. But that's where I saw him, and then I saw him come back the following year to New England to play in the 2001 U.S. Open in Framingham. Do you remember there was a U.S. Open in Framingham, Massachusetts in 2001? Hikaru was there and played. Did not win it. He finished high up. I think he tied for second. In fact, he tied for second.
Okay. He must have been pretty young at the time.
I think, he was young. In 2001. Back then. Again, Hikaru was 31 years old. So back in 2000, well, he was young, very young. However, what we're going to present to our viewers, Dave, is a game that was played by our own Massachusetts Grandmaster Sam Sevian against fellow Grandmaster Ray Robson. This was played in round 7 of the championship. It was played the same day, same evening that we played our 3rd round of our Gail S. Lingner Memorial. Now let's have a photo. Here we have Sam Sevian on the right. He's got his hand up to his chin. He's got the black pieces, and Ray Robson is on the left. This game that Sam Sevian played against Ray Robson is considered one of the best games from the championship, if not the best game. There are those who claim this was definitely the best game played in the entire championship, and I will predict that this game that he played is going to find its way in game collection or anthologies. Is definitely going to appear in print in multiple publications. Let's present this exciting game, because this is one of the most fantastic games we're going to present to our Chess Chat viewers.
All right.
Ray Robson had white. What did he open the game with?
He opened with e4.
Okay. Good opening move.
Good opening move. Seen it many times.
Right. Okay. So in response to e4, and we're seeing e4 actually on our demonstration board being shown graphically, Sam Sevian played e5. Pawn e7 to e5. Okay. A good response to e4. Right. Okay. So now what does Ray Robson do?
Plays knight f3, attacking the pawn on e5.
Okay, pawn is under attack. So that we don't want to lose that pawn. So we're going to defend that pawn, which Sam Sevian did by playing knight c6. So that's his move, a logical move. Now, it is Ray Robson's 3rd move coming up. What does he play?
Bishop to b5, attacking the defender of the pawn.
Okay, now this is an opening which has a name. Let's tell our Chess Chat viewers, those who are not that familiar with chess, haven't been involved in chess that long, what is the name that players attach to this?
I'll leave you to pronounce it, because...
When I was growing up, players, this is ages ago, this was known as the Ruy Lopez opening.
Okay.
Most of the world knows this as the Spanish game or Spanish opening, but Ruy Lopez was a 16th century Spanish priest whose name was attached to this. And he actually he came out with a book that appeared in 1561 on chess, in which he mentions this opening, and they just attached the name, Ruy Lopez or Spanish game to this because of the book that appeared in 1561 by Ruy Lopez. But most of the world calls it. We also call it the Spanish opening, Spanish game. Okay, so What Sam Sevian did in response to this, what he could have done is what Paul Morphy recommended doing. The great American player Paul Morphy would say, A6, let's put the pawn and put the question to the bishop on b5,
right,
which is very popular. There's nothing wrong with this. But what Sam Sevian played was knight f6. Now, what is this? This is a good developing move. It threatens the pawn on e4.
Right.
This has a name. Now we have a system that has a name.
Right.
What is this known as?
This is called the Berlin.
Berlin, yeah,
also known as the Berlin Wall.
Yes, right. A lot of people call it the Berlin Wall, right? Yeah.
Because what tends to happen is that with the normal lines, the queens get traded and you're quickly into an end game. Yes. And it gained in popularity about 19 years ago when Kramnik played Kasparov. Kramnik used it to draw against Kasparov. Kasparov could not beat this. It's not an aggressive opening, but it's hard to beat.
You know what American player played this for years and was well known as playing the Berlin defense?
Well, I only know because you told me. Arthur Bisguier.
Arthur Bisguier, who lived actually, who grew up in the Bronx, I think the Bronx, New York, but came later in life to live with his daughter in Wellesley, Massachusetts. That's where he died, in Wellesley, Massachusetts. He used to play at the Metro West Chess Club in Natick, the biggest chess club in Massachusetts.
Right.
That's where Arthur Bisguier lived and played. He lived in Wellesley, but played in Natick. He played this for decades. I mean, he was known as the Berlin defense player. Okay, so now what does Ray Robson do against this?
He plays d3, which I think is called the anti-Berlin, because usually castling happens here.
Yes, white could castle here. There's nothing wrong with castling.
Then usually queens get traded and we're right into an end game. So he wants to avoid that. He plays d3.
And you know who played d3 more than a century ago? In the late 19th century, early 20th century? The second official world champion. Who was the second official world champion?
Steinitz?
No, Steinitz was number one.
Oh, Steinitz was...
No, Emanuel Lasker.
Oh, okay.
Emanuel Lasker, no, you mentioned Steinitz. Steinitz played, Emanuel Lasker is the one who was played knight f6, yes, because he lived and studied in Berlin, Emanuel Lasker.
Okay.
Yeah, but Wilhelm Steinitz actually was the one who played this. He was the first official world champion who played this well over a century ago. And then it fell out of favor, because as being maybe too passive, Okay. All right, now, what is Sam Sevian going to do against d3? Well, what he played is develop another piece. He plays bishop to c5. Okay, he's placed along this diagonal, the old G1 to A7 diagonal here.
Right.
Okay, now, what does Ray Robson do against bishop c5?
He exchanges.
Okay.
So he takes the knight. Bishop takes c6.
Bishop takes c6. We see that. Now we have to recapture that bishop, and the proper way is to capture with the d pawn.
Right.
D takes on c6, takes the bishop on c6, which now opens up for the light squared bishop to come out.
Right.
Now I want to, before we play Ray Robson's next move, let us show what is wrong. Let's show our viewers what is wrong with white capturing this pawn on e5. That would be a blunder.
Yeah.
That would be a blunder. How does black punish this move of knight takes e5? Well, this is going to lose a piece. By black now playing the queen on d8 to d4, what is the threat now with the queen on d4?
Threatening checkmate right there.
We got the threat of taking here checkmate, but we're also attacking the knight.
Right.
And there's no way to save the knight, so the knight's going to be lost.
Right.
So, and there's no way, even playing the knight to g4 is not going to save it. It's still going to be lost. All right, so whose move is it now? So what did white do?
So it's Ray Robson's sixth move. He castles.
All right. So after castling, white now is trying to take their pawn on e5. So what black did after castling is defend that pawn on e5 by bringing the knight back to d7. Knight d7 is his move. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what does Ray Robson do after knight d7?
Plays a move that's typical on the Ruy Lopez, C3.
Okay, what is he preparing?
Ready to
He's preparing to push, after C3, which you see now being presented, he's trying to bring the pawn to D4. Okay, so now Sam Sevian says, I'm going to castle. On the 7th move, he castles. All right? Yep. Okay, Ray Robson's, now it's his 8th move. So he carries out his plan.
Right.
All right?
D4.
D4. He's now attacking the bishop. He's also attacking the pawn on E5.
Right.
So what Sam Sevian does not take the pawn on D4 with the pawn, because that would give actually white total control of the center.
Right.
What he does is he retreats the bishop on C5 to D6 and now protects that pawn on E5. He's protected twice. It was attacked twice. It is now defended twice. Okay. What does white do now after bishop D6?
Bishop to G5, attacking the queen.
So after bishop G5, the queen is under attack, and black shuts off that attack on the queen by playing F6. All right. F6 attacks the bishop. The bishop can't stay there. Right. So the bishop has to retreat.
Pulls back, H4.
Okay, bishop H4. And now comes a move I heard, or not only heard, but I also read, was a novelty.
Oh, really?
This had not, somebody claimed, I don't know, but it was reported somewhere that Sam Sevian's next move is a new move.
Okay.
He played queen E8. He played the queen over to E8. Well, you can see what the plan is. It's going to be able a way to enter the king side here by going to E8 square. He's going to be able to exit.
And also if he captures here, then the queen's going to be able to grab that pawn.
It's off the pin. Actually, moving the queen off to D8. He's off this pin now, and he's also had that extra defense on the pawn on E5. Okay, what does Ray Robson do after queen E8?
Okay, so he just continues his development.
Right.
Knight to D2.
Right, developing the knight to D2. He's not going to develop to the side of the board to A3, naturally. So now what Sam Sevian did is play the knight to B6, brings that over, so he opens up now the diagonal for the light squared bishop.
Right.
Okay, what does Ray Robson do now after knight B6?
So Ray Robson plays H3, the main point being that this bishop can't come here to pin the knight.
But you know what, ironically, that seems like a logical move. You know, H3, the stopping the pin, putting the bishop. But that move H3 is going to come back to haunt Ray Robson later.
Right.
That's going to prove to be, if that pawn did not have to move, we're going to see the consequences of playing what is considered a weaker move.
Yep.
Yeah. So how did Sam Sevian respond to H3? Well, he took here the pawn on D4.
Yep.
E takes D4. Okay. Wait a minute. Isn't he giving now white the center here after E takes D4? Because didn't actually Ray Robson now return on the 13th move, take back with the C pawn?
Yep.
All right, so he has what he wanted to achieve is the two pawns in the center.
Right.
He has pawns in E4 and D4. Okay. But what Sevian did now is play queen to G6. Is there a threat? Does Sam Sevian in this position have a threat?
Sure. The bishop taking this pawn because this one is pinned. You couldn't capture back.
So he's threatening to take that pawn on H3 with the bishop.
Yep.
That's the threat.
Yep.
Okay. So in response to that threat, what Robson did was just move the king over to H1.
Right, to break the pin. So now if he takes, he can just capture back.
Exactly. Right. So he's not going to take that. Instead, this bishop that hasn't moved yet is now going to move to E6. Bishop E6 is Sam Sevian's 14th move. Okay, it is now Ray Robson's move. What did he play here in this position?
He plays A3.
Okay. Now, is this possible to support the advance of the B pawn?
That's what I figured.
Yeah, it looks like actually A3 is going to be prepares the advance of
gain some space on the queen side.
Okay, so in response to A3, Sam Sevian on his 15th move played bishop to F4. He brings the bishop to F4, which attacks the knight here on D2, but that's adequately defended with the knight on F3 and the queen on D1. But it does clear by removing the bishop from the D file. it actually allows this rook to move over and actually put pressure on that pawn on d4. Okay, so it is now Ray Robson's move. He plays the rook.
Rook over to e1.
Yeah, because the rook has no future. What future does the rook on f1 have? Has no future there. Yep. Rook e1. Okay, here is where Sam Sevian now plays f5. He advances and attacks the pawn e4. Of course, it's defended twice with the rook on e1 and the knight on d2. All right, so now what does Ray Robson do now after f5?
So he takes.
F5. He took the pawn.
Yeah.
Okay, so he takes f5 is his move, and Sam Sevian in response takes with the bishop on e6, captures the pawn on f5, and that's where we are. He now has total control. Well, he's nicely placed on this diagonal. Okay, what does white do now? Ooh.
Develops the queen with check.
With check.
So queen to b3 check.
Yeah. Now I know, and you know, we know some players, if they were given check like this, they would just move the king over into the corner. But that's not what Sam Sevian did. No. Sam says, no, I don't have to move that knight there. I could, but I got a better move. I'm going to play this knight on b6 to d5 and block the check on the king.
Right.
Now comes a big turning point in the game.
Yeah.
In fact, it's
definitely the turning point.
This is definitely the turning point in the game, because you know what Ray Robson did now? He commits the blunder of all blunders. Or yes or no? Yes.
It's hard to call it a blunder, because this is not easy.
Not easy
to see.
So here he goes down here. He's won a pawn here. Queen takes b7.
Right.
Okay. So what Sam Sevian does in response is the rook on a8 goes over to b8 and attacks the queen.
Yeah.
Okay. So
now here he makes, this is another mistake, I think.
Yes, the greed. So now it's the greed factor.
So
because he was greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he had played just queen back here,
so he could bring that queen back.
That queen could come back to the defense, because there's an attack going on here. But by playing queen takes a7.
So this is really the blunder.
It's the two blunders in a row. Really.
Right. Yeah.
But so now the queen can't come back to help out on defense.
He should have brought the queen to a6 so he could actually bring that queen back for defensive purposes.
Yeah.
But he took the pawn on a7, which allowed Sevian now with the rook on b8 to capture the pawn on b2. He's now penetrated. He's now got this rook now active in place. Okay. So now how do we continue?
Knight to c4, attacking the rook.
Okay, knight c4. So he's attacking the rook. Okay, how are we going to continue here? Well, this is the move of all blues.
He ignores
now he plays bishop takes h3. Okay, threatening mate with the queen.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to do?
He takes.
He takes. Okay, so g takes h3. Now Sevian comes in with queen d3. Bang. Okay. Okay, what are we doing now? He's got all kinds of threats.
Attacking this knight, attacking that knight.
All right. So what he's going to do here? So he comes. Oh, he defends the
king g2 to attack to
king
defend
to the g2. Now this is the move I think was the great move. Bishop back to d6, which puts more pressure. Actually, it's threatening now the queen taking the knight on f6 with the queen. All right, how does Robson do now? Well, how does he continue?
So now he plays knight back to g1. So now the knight's defending this square.
Okay, but now comes this move. Rook on f8 captures. Check on f2. Wait a minute.
Everything's bearing down on the
bearing down. Look at this. Well, now what Robson does, he captures the
no
rook.
Choice but to capture.
Bishop takes f2, and now after this next move, queen g3. Check. He cannot take the queen.
Can't take because it's pinned.
And the king only has two possible moves.
And it's going to be checkmate either way. If he goes here.
Yep.
Checkmate's there. If he goes here.
Checkmate either the rook or the queen.
Yep.
That's it, chess fans. We have seen one of the most well-played, brilliant games played in this year's U.S. Championship. Hikaru Nakamura, this year's U.S. champion, 5-time U.S. champion, Hikaru Nakamura. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Chess Chat.